She cried when I told her I was selling the cabin. Real tears, the kind that clung to her lashes and made her voice break. Please, she said, clutching my sleeve like we were still kids. Don't sell it. Too many memories. It's all we have left of him. What she didn't say. She knew exactly what our father buried out there. And I didn't. I'm Aaron. I'm 31, a high school biology teacher, and up until a few months ago, I was a pretty normal guy dealing with grief, bills, and the endless chore of keeping a roof over my head after Dad passed. The cabin wasn't some rustic paradise. It was old. Creaky floorboards with smoke still embedded in the walls and a view of the lake that only looked nice if you stood on the back porch and squinted. But Dad built it with his own hands back in the 80s, and for as long as I can remember, it was where we spent every summer. Fishing, chopping wood, pretending we were some pioneer family living off the land. When he died last year, massive heart attack, no warning, I inherited everything, including the cabin. My sister, Kelsey, she took it harder than I did. She was always Dad's favorite, not that either of them ever said it. She was the artist, the sensitive one, the girl who could name every bird by its call. I was just the one who knew how to change the oil in the generator. After the funeral, we went out to the cabin one last time. She stood in the living room, touching every wall like it was sacred. I remember thinking, she looks like she's saying goodbye. But now I wonder if it was more than that. She told me then, we can't sell this place, Aaron. You don't understand. There's too much here. I asked her what she meant. She just shook her head. You'd think I was crazy. She said that a lot. That was 6 months ago. I didn't press. We both grieved in our own ways, her with quiet silences and long weekends alone up at the cabin, me with nights at the bar and therapy I could barely afford. Then came the letter. Mailed to me in a plain envelope, no return address. Inside was a single sheet of paper with 2 things. 1, a map, hand-drawn, familiar enough to be the area around the cabin but off in subtle ways. 2, a note in Dad's handwriting, if something happens to me, don't trust anyone. Not even family. That's when everything changed. I stared at the map until the lines started blurring. It looked like Dad had traced the basic shape of our land, trees, the cabin, the lake, but then there were marks I didn't recognize. A red X near the creek, a small triangle in the woods behind the outhouse, paths that didn't exist, at least not anymore. And that note, don't trust anyone, not even family. The handwriting was unmistakable. It was Dad's. His all-caps printing, heavy on the pressure like he was always digging the pen too deep. My stomach turned. Kelsey had been going up there alone for months, staying overnight, sometimes 2, without telling me. And now I had a map and a warning. I didn't want to believe it, but something inside me had already started connecting dots. The next day, I called her. Hey, you going up this weekend? Yeah, she said slowly. Why? Mind if I come too? Pause. I thought you were done with that place. I need to see it one more time. Longer pause. Okay, she said. But don't get in the way. The drive up felt different this time. Less nostalgic, more calculated. Every tree looked like it was hiding something. I had the map folded in my jacket, heart pounding each time I reached back to touch it like it was some kind of weapon. She was already there when I arrived. Firewood stacked. Lights on. Her car half covered in leaves like it had been there a while. Inside, she greeted me with a tight smile and avoided my eyes. She didn't ask why I came. Didn't offer coffee like usual. Just said, if you're here to help, there's stuff that needs chopping. I nodded and went outside. But I wasn't here for firewood. I took the map and started walking. The creek was the first place I checked. I remembered it as a trickle, barely knee-deep even in spring. The map showed a red X just beyond a bend, beneath something marked as stump. There was no stump, but there was a mound. A strange, unnatural pile of earth just off the trail. I knelt down, pressed my hand into it. Too soft, recently disturbed. I was so focused I didn't hear her behind me until she spoke. You shouldn't be here. Her voice was flat. Cold. I turned. She was standing with a shovel. Not holding it like a tool. Holding it like a warning. What's buried here, Kelsey? You need to go back to the cabin. No. We stared at each other. Years of sibling memories flashing between us like static, birthday cakes, scraped knees, shared secrets. But this moment cut through all of it. This isn't yours, she said finally. He left it for me. What is it? She shook her head, then turned and walked back toward the cabin. I stayed behind, frozen. Not because I was scared of her, but because I suddenly realized. Whatever was buried here, she hadn't dug it up yet. She said that right before slamming the cabin door behind her. You don't know what he did. The words bounced around my skull like a ricochet. I didn't sleep that night. The air inside the cabin was thick, hot despite the cold, like the walls were sweating secrets. Kelsey stayed in Dad's old room, the one with the gun rack still hanging above the bed. I stayed on the couch, fully clothed, map clenched in my hand like it could somehow protect me. I couldn't stop staring at the fireplace. Dad built that hearth stone by stone. But now every flicker from the flames made shadows dance along the corners. I started imagining things, eyes in the dark, whispers behind the crackling logs. At 3:12 a.m. I heard her footsteps creaking through the hallway. She didn't say anything. Just walked past me toward the kitchen, poured a glass of water, and stood there, staring out the window like she was expecting something to come out of the woods. "Kels," I said, voice hoarse. "What did he bury?" She turned to me slowly, like it cost her something. "You think Dad was just a fisherman who liked cabins and Carhartt jackets?" She whispered. "You think he was some quiet, sentimental man? He was our dad." "No," she snapped, her voice suddenly sharp. "He was yours, not mine." Silence. I sat up. What the hell does that mean? But she was already walking away again, leaving me with those 6 words. "You don't know what he did." The next morning, I didn't wait for her to get up. I grabbed the shovel from the woodshed and went back to the creek. I didn't care if she followed me. I was going to dig. The earth was loose, damp, barely covered, like someone had second-guessed themselves at the last minute. After 20 minutes, I hit metal. It wasn't a box. It was a lock. I clawed through the dirt until I revealed the top of a military-style ammo canister, old, rusted, but intact. I wiped it down, heart hammering like a war drum. The latch creaked open with a scream. Inside, bundles of cash. Thick wads. Wrapped in rubber bands, water-damaged but still green. And beneath them? A folder. No name. Just a cracked red sticker with the word confidential. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside, photographs. Grainy. Surveillance style. Dad, sitting at a diner table with men in suits. Then, Dad again, this time in a grainy parking lot photo, exchanging what looked like a package. A typed page. Unmarked, except for the first line. Subject, James Lockwood, asset turned liability. Lockwood. Dad. Asset? The rest of the file was dry language. Cold. Like it was written by someone who didn't see my father as a man, but a risk. Then footsteps. Behind me. I turned and there she was. Kelsey. Eyes red. Hair unbrushed. A pistol in her hand. "I told you not to dig." My blood turned to ice. "Kelsey, what is this? Who was he?" Her hand didn't waver. "I'm sorry, Aaron, but I can't let you take that file." Her hands were shaking now, but the gun stayed aimed at the ground between us. "Not at me. Not yet." I raised my palms. "You're not gonna shoot me, Kels." "I don't want to," she whispered. "But I will. You have no idea what's in that folder." I held it up slowly, careful not to make any sudden moves. "Then tell me." She looked like she was breaking in front of me, like the dam inside her couldn't hold another secret. "Dad wasn't who we thought he was," she said, stepping closer. "He worked for them." "Them who?" "Government. Military. Intelligence, I don't know. He never said. But when I was 16, I saw him bury something back here. I thought it was weird, but I didn't ask. Until the week before he died." Her voice cracked. "He called me up here alone. He looked sick. Like something was eating him from the inside." She crouched now, lowering the gun, hand on her forehead. "He said, if anything happens to me, do not let Aaron find it. Promise me, Kelsey. Promise you'll burn it." "And you promised," I said quietly. She nodded, a tear falling. "I promised. But I didn't burn it. I couldn't. I thought maybe one day you'd understand." I stared at the file in my hand. "This says he was a liability." "He was," she said, voice almost a hiss now. "He turned on them. That's why he retired early. That's why he built this place. Not for the lake. For cover." She walked to the metal box and kicked it shut. "The money," she muttered. "That's not pension, Aaron. It's hush money. Severance. Whatever you want to call it." I didn't move. "You've known this for how long?" I asked. "Since he died. You let me cry over his grave like he was some hero. He was a hero. Just not in the way you thought." She wiped her face and looked at me hard. "He killed people, Aaron. Spied on people. Then one day decided he couldn't do it anymore and disappeared into the woods with a fake name and a cabin full of ghosts." My knees gave out. I sat right there in the dirt, folder still in hand. The sky felt lower. The trees taller. The air colder. "So what do we do now?" I asked. Kelsey stood, eyes scanning the treetops. "We either burn it and keep living, or we take it to someone." I looked down at the top photo again, Dad, looking straight into the camera like he knew someone was watching. "Who would we even take it to?" I whispered. She didn't answer. But then a voice echoed from the trees. "You take it to me." We both froze. And then a man stepped out from behind a tree, gray coat, mirrored sunglasses, calm like he'd been listening the whole time. "You're James Lockwood's kids," he said. "And that file doesn't belong to either of you." The man didn't raise a weapon. He didn't have to. Everything about him, his voice, his stillness, even the way he said our last name like it was classified, made the forest feel colder. Kelsey stepped in front of me. "Who the hell are you?" He didn't answer, just took a slow step forward. "You think no one's been watching this cabin?" he said. "You think James Lockwood walked away clean?" He pulled a badge from his coat. No agency name, just an eagle, wings outstretched over a sword, black background. "I'm what comes after a man like your father runs." Kelsey didn't flinch. "He died of a heart attack." The man gave a cold smile. "Sure, that's what the coroner said." My chest went tight. "What does that mean?" He looked at me. For the first time, really looked at me. "It means this file," he said, tapping the folder with one gloved finger, "was never supposed to see daylight. Your father knew that, which is why he buried it instead of burning it, because some part of him still hoped someone would find it." He stepped back. "We don't care about the money. Keep it. Burn it. Bury it again. But that file," he held out his hand, "comes with me." I stood up. Kelsey's arm shot out to stop me. "How do we know you won't kill us?" she said. His expression didn't change. "You don't." We were quiet for a long time. Then I did something I didn't expect. I handed him the photos. But not the note. Not the original map. I kept those tucked in my jacket, just under my shirt. He took the file without another word, slipped it inside his coat, and turned toward the trees. But just before he disappeared, he said one last thing. "Your father made enemies. Now you have them too." Then he vanished. Gone. Like a ghost that had never been real. Kelsey and I didn't speak as we buried the empty box again. We didn't speak as we walked back to the cabin. We didn't speak until the next morning when we found the back door wide open and every photo of our father, every trace of his existence in that house. Gone. No fingerprints. No prints on the floor. No signs of forced entry. Just absence. Like he'd never lived there. Like we'd made him up. We burned the cabin 2 weeks later. Not because we wanted to, because we had to. It started with the phone call. I was in my classroom grading biology quizzes when the landline rang. That phone hasn't rung in years. I picked it up. Silence. Then a single line, distorted, mechanical. "You were warned." Then the line went dead. I rushed out of the building. Drove straight to Kelsey's. She was already packing. She didn't ask who called. She knew. That night, we returned to the cabin one last time. It didn't feel like home anymore. It felt like a tomb. A relic. Something dangerous wrapped in wood and dust and old memories. We didn't talk. We soaked the floors in kerosene. We stood on the back porch, lit a match, and dropped it through the window. It burned fast. Too fast. Like it had been waiting. The flames didn't crawl, they lunged. The fire devoured everything, starting in the living room, racing up the walls like it had somewhere to be. The smoke twisted in unnatural shapes. I swear I heard voices. Maybe it was just the wind. Maybe not. We watched until the roof caved in. Until the only thing left was the foundation and a sick feeling in our guts. We got in the truck and drove south. No bags. No phones. No credit cards. Just a notebook, and a flash drive. The flash drive came 2 days earlier, slipped under my apartment door in a manila envelope. No return address. No note. Inside were video files, grainy footage, surveillance tape from decades ago. One clip showed my father, James Lockwood, standing in a dimly lit room, staring directly into the camera. He was older than I remembered him. Not by years, by weight. His eyes were hollow. His skin ashen. He looked hunted. He leaned forward and spoke. "If you're watching this, they found you. They always do. You're not safe. You were never supposed to find the file. I buried it because I couldn't burn it. Because even cowards want to be remembered. But remember this, the cabin isn't the only place." Then static. Then black. And that was it. No coordinates. No instructions. Just a warning. It's been 6 months now. Kelsey and I live under new names. Cash only. Cheap motels, cheap coffee. We move every few weeks. We don't ask questions. We don't trust anyone. But I still have the map. Not the one he drew. The second one. The one I found folded into the lining of the folder before I gave it to that man in the woods. It's older. Faded. But there are more marks on this one. 5XS, scattered across the country. One of them matches the exact location of the cabin we burned. Another sits just outside a desert town in Arizona. I checked it once from a distance. There's a rusted trailer with solar panels and no visible driveway. Someone's still watching it. And the other 3? They're still waiting. So yeah, Kelsey begged me not to sell the cabin. Said it held too many memories. What she didn't say, it held secrets. And we only found one. The others are still out there. Buried. Waiting. And someone, maybe something, is waiting for us to dig.